Hi, I'm Cameron Bonzi. I'm the Vice President of Marketing with Coast of Maine Brands, and you are listening to the Growing Good podcast from Coast of Maine. And I am here today with Jenn Kennedy, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Ocean Society. So, Jenn, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. It fits perfectly that with what we do with harvesting ocean residuals and putting them into our soils, that we would be talking to you and making sure that the ocean stays healthy, um, as it does impact all of us. And on your website, when I look at your mission, it says our mission is to protect marine life in the Gulf of Maine through research, education, and inspiring action. But you're much more than the Gulf of Maine, correct?
Yeah, our audience really comes from all over the place. We focus on the Gulf of Maine, and that's where we do our research. So we focus our research on primarily, well, an area called Jeffrey's Ledge, which is about 20 miles offshore, off the coast from southern Maine to northern Massachusetts. So that's really how we got our start, is trying to study the whales that were out there in that region, because it was an area that we knew there was a lot of marine life, but nobody was really out there consistently studying. Um, so we do the research, but then we also have a lot of beach cleanups and educational programs, and that draws people from all kinds of places, especially the whale watches that we work on during the summer. There's people from all over the world that come on those.
Well, the whale watches, I can understand exactly why people would be going on those. One of the reasons that we're having you on is that Coast of Maine is involved with an Earth Day event, a cleanup at Old Orchard Beach on April 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And Blue Ocean will be there running educating people and getting people together in groups to collect and also look at what we're pulling off the beach, itemizing it. Can you talk about that process a little bit?
Yeah, so we started doing our beach cleanups around 2000, 2001, and we always thought that, obviously it's great to pick up the litter so it doesn't wash into the ocean or stay on the beach where it's going to impact wildlife or people, but it's also really important to learn as much as we can and hopefully prevent future litter on the beach. And so from the get-go, when we were doing cleanups, we started collecting data on what we were finding. So we use data cards, or you can also use an app called Marine Debris Tracker, which is a free app to record what you find on the beach. And so at each beach cleanup, volunteers are recording what they're finding, hopefully everything they pick up, which sounds a little tedious, but it is really important information, because that goes into our database, but then it's also shared with the local towns, the state. It's shared with NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, so on the federal level. And so we use the information in our educational programs. Like, we tell people, hey, we found, thousands of pieces of plastic. Like, it's not uncommon for me to be working on a whale watch boat or at a school program and say, hey, I did a beach cleanup just last week and picked up 3,000 cigarette butts. It's really important to pick up after yourself. So we use that in education, but then it also goes to lawmakers as well. So as they're making decisions on pollution prevention policies, they can use that.
It's interesting to me. Go back to, you mentioned an app and I didn't hear it properly. What was the app that you can actually record what you're picking up?
Yeah, it's called Marine Debris Tracker,
Okay.
and you can download it on your app store, also at debristracker.org. And we have uploaded our beach cleanup list to this app. So when you go on there, you can select to collect data for a particular organization if you'd like to. So if you go on there and you scroll up and you find our logo and click on it, you're going to be using basically the exact data card that we use at all of our beach cleanups, and all the data goes directly to us. But the other cool thing about that app is that people are using it all over the world, and the data is open source. So if you are interested in what kind of litter is showing up on other coastlines, or you want to do a school project or something, that information is available to everybody online.
That was what I was specifically thinking. So we've got this event at Old Orchard Beach. There's going to be a significant number of people there. Of course, our office will be there. We're actually donating fertilizer, which actually has kelp and lobster meal in it. So it's cool. And But the idea is that if you had this app, that we also do a growing good program for schools. So a school could actually do an event themselves. And is that what you're saying? That like a teacher could say, I'm going to take my kids down to Old Orchard Beach myself, and we're going to pick a little area and they could do it, correct?
Yep, they could do it. They could even just do a cleanup at their schoolyard or, anywhere in town because, the ocean is downstream of pretty much everything. So anything you pick up even upstream of that is going to be helpful. We also do have on our website a digital beach cleanup kit. So if people are like a teacher was looking for more information or a supply list, what do you need to run a cleanup? How do you use the app? We have that all available on our website also.
That's great because I do have contact now with a lot of folks that actually run school gardens, so it goes hand in hand. So we could be
Great.
talking about that to those schools, which is a great thing. And then just from a kind of a personal standpoint, what I'm thinking, you've been doing this. You mentioned 2001. The organization has been doing this since 2001,
Yes.
and since 2001, as far as just thinking about trash on the beaches, is it going up, is it going down, is it staying, it's going up, you're just sure.
Well, we still need to look at the data a little bit. It's hard to, normalize that from year to year just because there's more or less cleanups, their weather is different. So that there's a lot of things that impacts what we find on the beach. Overall, if you look at just the pounds of trash we're picking up,
Yeah,
that's going down and our volunteers are going up. So basically we have more people out there picking things up, but we're picking up less weight of litter. We have just started in the last few years look at tallying up more of the pieces of litter. So we changed our data card in 2018. So now people can, there's a place for just about every item you might find. So it's a lot easier for us to count the number of pieces we picked
yeah.
up. So last year in 2023, volunteers picked up over 162,000 pieces of litter on our beach cleanups. And so we're hoping to dig more, looking at those pieces to see if not are the pounds going down, but also the pieces are going down. I would suspect the pieces might be going up or not greatly decreasing, just because a lot of what we find are little pieces of plastic and foam and things that have just been breaking up over time. So we're
And I
not
would
finding
also,
as much weight, but we're finding lots of little things.
and I would also assume that with the weather intensity, the storms that we seem to be getting now would actually be turning up more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
And
mean, it can do either. It either can bring a lot up on the beach or it can like take it all with it, depending on which way the prevailing winds.
yeah, so that all that stuff is really hard to track.
Yeah.
Um, the Blue Ocean Society, how do you raise money? How do you get people to give, participate, and help out?
Yeah, we have fundraising through a variety of sources. So we're a nonprofit organization, so anybody can make a tax deductible donation. So we do get a lot of individual support, which is great. And one thing that we're really trying to build up, because the more people we have out there learning about our mission and getting involved, whether volunteering or donating, they're learning about, what's going on currently here in the Gulf of Maine and with the marine life and with the trash situation and everything. So we do have individual donations. We have corporate sponsorships for some events and things like that. We get some program fees. We do educational programs throughout New England, and for the schools that can afford them, we do charge a program fee. And we do have grants as well. Grants are a smaller piece of the pie than they used to be, just because they,
Sure.
so difficult to manage for a small organization and unreliable from year to year, but we do have some grants as well. So the NOAA Marine Debris Program is one of our supporters, as well as the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services.
So you started there how long ago?
I was a co-founder, so 2001.
Okay, so you were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, and where did you get this interest from? What drove you to start this? That's what I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Rochester, New York, so really pretty far from the ocean.
Yeah.
I love the water though. I grew up on Lake Ontario, so was in the water, as much as I could, always, on boats as much as I could, and always loved animals. So I knew I wanted a career probably working outside and also working with animals. for some reason, since I was little, I had always had an interest in whales in particular. So when I was getting close to graduating from college, I applied for a whale research internship in Gloucester and got accepted for that. And the summer before that, I worked on a whale watch boat. So I learned how great it was to be out on the ocean watching whales and learning about how people are studying them. When I got to the internship, that's where I met our co-founder, Diana Schulte. And so we met at this internship and in this organization that was doing a lot of great research, but not as much outreach. So we were kind of seeing this hole that needed to be filled as far as doing the research is really important, but if you don't get it out to the public and to like, your general everyday person walking the street doesn't know what's going on with the whales out there, then how are they going to be inspired to take care of it and
Right.
protect it? So after spending a few years collecting a lot of data on whale watch boats off New Hampshire and sending that data to other organizations and knowing it was probably just sitting in a file cabinet because they
Yes.
also didn't have time to do
Yeah.
do anything with
Right.
it, we were like, oh, let's just form a nonprofit. And being young and naive and unlimited energy because we were in our 20s, we thought it was a good idea. And then we started doing education programs. Whale watch companies we were working with, they had schools coming out on the whale watch, and they would often get requests from the school to come to the school before the whale watch to tell the students about the whales a little bit, what to be prepared for. And they would often send us because the boat captain didn't necessarily want to do that. So we started doing that. We eventually got an inflatable whale that we now bring to schools. We started a educational center down in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, where we have some touch tanks and exhibits trying to teach people to take care of the beach down there and running beach cleanups. And our research continues as well.
The research and the education, there is obviously much more access to information today, both on the good and the bad side. Do you find people to be much more educated and proactive when you reach out to? Do you find that people are actually know more than they used to when they come?
I think a lot do in schools, 100%. It's not unusual. So one of the reasons why we started doing more education programs, I just really clearly remember early in the 2000s, we were at a school in Raymond, New Hampshire, it took us 40 minutes to get there from the coast. And it was like 8th grade students, like 80 of them. And one of the first things I asked was, who's been to the ocean? And maybe like 10 or 20 kids raised their hands. Then I was like, well, who of you have been on a boat? And maybe like 5 raised their hands. And I'm like, here these kids are less than an hour from the ocean and they're not getting to experience it.
Yeah.
Now we go into a school and there's a lot more, I think, environmental and ocean literacy. Kids are able to answer more questions when we ask them. And I love the fact that almost all the kids have their own like reusable water bottles when they never did in the past. We're seeing more like, reusable lunch containers and stuff like that. So things are changing, sometimes a little too slowly for some of us, but I think the consciousness is growing. And then I think you have, we could have a whole discussion about the Discovery Channel and documentaries that are on popular TV, but they're not always the most accurate, but they have raised consciousness and gotten people excited about going out on a boat or doing a whale watch or going out on the beach. So.
I don't understand how we can't just say, look, go over here and put this over here, right? Yeah. I don't know why that is a difficult thing, but how do you get past that kind of frustration? Because you're in it, right?
Yeah.
And when you see those things, what helps you go, okay, this is happening. How do we fix it?
Yeah. I tell myself that change is happening slowly. I try to think, kind of big picture. And part of it is, so I used to be out there doing cleanups, the primary one. And now we have some great volunteers that help do that. And we have some staff educators that do a lot of the cleanup. So one thing is that I'm not in those trenches every single day, although the news, can get you just depressed on its own. Yep. I always think back to when I first moved up here in the late 90s, you'd go to the grocery store and everybody be using plastic bags, people will be
Yes.
buying all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And now you can't hardly go into a grocery store where there's not a big sign that's like, did you remember your
Yep.
usable bags? And I do
Yeah.
my little, kind of mental tally as I'm looking around in the checkout line, and I'm like, well, at least 50% of the people now have brought their own bags. So
Yeah.
something is happening. Yeah, there is less smoking overall. We used to pick up 50,000 or more cigarette butts per
Wow.
year. Now it's
Yeah.
closer to 20,000, which is still 20,000 too many. But so I think there's just so many great companies out there looking for alternatives to figure out how do you substitute the plastic products we need for things that are more reusable, or a circular economy, trying to, take back things for recycling, or turn them into something else. We have a fishing line recycling program. We have a great volunteer named Stephanie that manages that, and she's been putting up these PVC fishing line recycling bins all along the coast. So it gives people a place to put their used fishing line rather than in the water and the trash. And then that actually gets shipped to a company called Berkeley Pure Fishing, and they basically grind it up and turn it into plastic products like outdoor benches and things like that.
Hopefully an event like an Earth Day event coming up on the 20th, where you're also working with the Maine Audubon,
Yeah.
and we're also working with Maine Conservation Alliance, and that communication that comes together, that has to make you feel better too.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And I think, we see it over and over. Almost every single beach cleanup I've done, somebody will show up and they'll be like, oh, this is going to be easy. There's hardly any trash here. And you probably had the same experience or saw that at the cleanup you did. And then at the end, they're so surprised when they've picked up, 20 pounds, or collectively we've picked up 100 pounds, or even just, 1,000 pieces. And I think you probably, maybe unfortunately, never walk down the street or look at the beach the same way again, because you're a little bit more in tune to the litter that might be out there.
Honestly, it's an emotional impact, I
Mm.
think. And I think that, when I've done it, it is easy to get frustrated, and
Yeah.
it's easy to say, I don't get this. But then you have to do the same thing that you're doing and saying, well, remember, people are walking into grocery stores now, and a huge portion of them do have their bags with them. They're not buying plastic there, and they're thinking.
Mhm.
We are thinking, we are trying. Organizations like yours are a part of that education. So thank you for doing that. Um, Coast of Maine is happy to be working with this group. It fits what we're trying to do, and we're not perfect, right?
Right.
We're far from perfect. We do have plastic bags; they're recyclable, and we're looking for options. But it's something that we work on all the time, and we actually have a young person who has a sustainability background. And we're like, yeah, come on into us. We're a composting company, but we have a lot of work to do. I think everybody has a lot of work to do. So, thank you for what you do. I will be there myself on Saturday. I know you'll be at other events. You won't be there. Nikki will be there though. Will Nikki be
Yes.
there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe one of our Nickies will be there. Yes.
Okay. So our staff is looking forward to it. We will certainly be talking about this, putting stuff out on social media. Hopefully it helps both sides. And is there any message to somebody who might be listening to get them to reach out to you guys that you'd like to promote or say?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to have people visit our website at blueoceansociety.org. We're very active on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, so you can check us out on social media as well. We have lots of different volunteer opportunities, not just beach cleanups, but help in a variety of things, from the office to educational programs to our board, a number of things. So we'd love to hear from you.
Great. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on,
Thank you.
and keep doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, and enjoy the cleanup. Thanks for doing
I
that.
will. I know I will. You guys do a great job.